Hi friends, this week I want to show you how to make some fancy writing. I know some of you have been learning about the history of writing and a lot of you already have done that. And I wanted to just show you a way that I make my writing a little more interesting. So I'm going to write my name, and first I'm going to just sketch my name very softly with pencil so that I know how much space it's going to take up. I think I'm going to do all uppercase letters. And I'm going to let it sort of float around the page. I'm going to let this last letter, the S, kind of take up more space. So I think you can probably see that. It's very light. Okay, now what I'm going to do, if I were doing this normally, I could do this a little bit faster, but I'll show you a quicker, easy way to kind of figure out how to do this. So I'm now making a line at the bottom of all my letters. I'm going to use that line to connect some new lines. Okay, so now I'm going to focus on I'm going to do mostly this big A first for time's sake, but I'm going to create some new lines that are a little bit darker, kind of connecting the top and bottom. And it can still be sort of sketchy, you know, so don't worry about erasing. I think it's better to just figure out your shapes and then you can go back and erase or just use marker over the pencil and cover it up. And I could do the same thing if I made the edges round, so I could create more of a soft edge. That would also work. And so you can see I'm just creating thick to thin. All the letters just have a thick top edge, and then they get thin in the middle. So this will go thick to thin and then back to, maybe that should even be thicker. Okay, so that's where I could start. Now, I'm going to work on just this A so you can see how I could treat the rest of these letters. So now I could use something like a marker to make this a little bolder. Follow that line. And if you make a line that you feel like you mess up, you can just make it thicker. That's what I always find. Just make the line a little bit thicker, and then that just changes the style a little bit. So I'm just thickening these same lines with that same idea of going thick to thin. It's fun to write your name in an interesting way, or maybe you could write a note to a friend and write their name really cool. It's fun to get a note that's also like a work of art. So if you are writing letters to each other or to other people, you know, I always think about considering including like a small drawing or, you know, it's just like something that's a little special or a little bit of a surprise beyond just the writing. Now I can even think about making these edges a little bit thicker. So I've drawn kind of an edge there, and then I can fill it in. And again, for time's sake, I'm going to go a little bit fast, so I might be a little more careful if I was taking my time, but I can think about making these edges all thicker. Or I can just let this be the style of it. It can be a little bit more scribbly, and that's okay. Now, another thing that I could do is add some value. And you guys probably remember me talking about value, where things go from dark to light. So now I'm using a crayon, and I'm just starting at the bottom and coloring really with a little bit more pressure, and then gently releasing the pressure as I move up. Start from the top and go down so it sort of meets in the middle. So I could create this gradient on the whole thing, and that can be sort of a fun thing to add, color those in, okay? And then lastly, I could create some emphasis lines or some things that define the form. So I could take a black marker or some other color and just emphasize the edges. You know, I could do little things on the outside of the letters to give it some movement. So, and then I could even use the black to create some shadow, give this piece a little bit of depth. Or just some contrast. You know, when you put black and white next to things, it makes them pop a little bit more. So then I could keep doing this with the whole letter. I could use a different color and make this like a rainbow, or, you know, endless ideas. So have fun with that. Practice making interesting letters, practice writing your name, and have fun.